Russian women. Hot topic. Does it promise to be controversial? No, not really. About 10 years ago, I stumbled across a Mad magazine, the American Mad magazine. And I read it. In this particular old copy of Mad magazine that I just happened to stumble across, there was the theme was Battle of the Sexes or something like that. And one of the cartoons was about how modern Western men and women had come to fear one another. I grew up with that understanding of gender. I remember going to play school, kindergarten, for the first time, and just, we didn't have many friends, you know, we were kind of a close family in that sense. So I didn't know people of my age. I knew very, very few. And so I tried to befriend girls, and I remember quite distinctly the sense of defense, as if I'd done something wrong, as if I was bad and a threat. And of course I experienced that again at primary school, this idea that was alien to me, that was, to put it bluntly, that you know, you might pull a girl's ponytail or pull up her skirt or something, you know, that the girls were right to be suspicious of the boys and their intentions, and to be defensive. And I've known that my whole life, just like this Mad magazine cartoon expressed it. And I remember reading that Mad magazine with its, I don't know, 8 or 10 different stories, Mad magazine style, with that one particular iconic story, but they're all on the theme of Battle of the Sexes. And thinking to myself, that's dead right. That's how it is. That's how I know it. And it was the first time in my life that I could that it became that I got a sense of perspective on this thing. I'd always, since kindergarten, kind of felt as if somehow, I don't know, but this is the way things are, but why, I don't know. Here comes the explanation. We've been driven by the feminism, according to this magazine, cartoons, Mad magazine, Alfred E. Newman, Mad magazine, into this battle of the sexes, the sexual revolution. Raman, where's the toilet, please? Toilet. Yes.
Sure.
And then a few years ago, for Suidlanders, I went to Croatia, and for the first time in my life, I met women who were received you if you talked to them in the shop. I very distinctly remember going up to a woman in a pharmacy and asking her for whatever it was that I wanted. And she turned to me and talked to me like a man, not in a masculine way, but in terms of this, the theme of this video, it was like being in a, let's say a golf club, a country club, or a bar or something, and you ask the guy next to you for the time, and the response is, well, just as we all know it, how a man reacts in Western society versus how a woman reacts. And as I say, in Croatia, for the first time in my life, I experienced this thing of just a woman turning to you and saying, yeah, it's over there, just give me a shot, you got any problems, whatever. Not 1 ounce of this defensiveness that Mad Magazine recorded so well. Now I'm going to press pause here while I nip in. Give me a second.
No?
Ah, no, I must rush. I cannot be late for that interview. Ramon was telling me that you can mint a coin here as a memento. But we don't have the time. I have the big Sunday interview. Anyway, to get to the point, I've experienced the same thing here in Russia as I did in Croatia. These Eastern women have none of that defensiveness that I don't want to use words that offend, but that unnecessary, hopelessly unnecessary demeanor, suggestive that they feel vulnerable, that anything might happen. I'm not talking about on a dark street. I'm talking about at a kindergarten, at primary school, in a social setting where men and women meet one another. Church, a disco, whatever. That ice that has to be broken first. That ice that doesn't exist between males. And I suppose between females too. And who knows whose fault it is. I'm very much inclined to lay the blame at the door of men for allowing our society to slip so very much over the past, roughly speaking, 140 years, especially taking into account voting for political parties, in other words, governance based on sentiment and compromise rather than hard pragmatism, with voting rights in the West. What's the correct word? Universal suffrage, starting about 115 years ago. And I tell you, it is such a pleasant thing not to have to, approach somebody of the female gender regarding a hotel bill, regarding assistance, direction on the street, regarding a bus, with anything but absolutely normal. Hello, excuse me, I'm not sure, but is it the next one, or yeah, don't worry, it's just over there. Number 179, perhaps bus number 179 or whatever. And this is an important video because it addresses a phenomenon that plagues our society. We have seen it at play. We know that there is a problem in our gender and sexual identity or identification, not as they use the word, how we identify and who and what we are as men and women in the West. So it has been a great experience from that point of view for me. I've made during the walk and talk through the Karelian Museum of wood construction. But if you can, for those people who are wondering, we ended up doing 7,700 steps. So about 8 kilometers. Not so much as Raman says. I won't be able to walk for the next 2 days, but not so much, according to the Russians. That ended up being how far we walked through the museum. 8 kilometers. Can you believe it?